Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Pole Position Podcast. I'm Jack Price and in this short video we're going to be discussing and previewing the Brazilian Grand Prix. Now only 2 races left of the 2019 season. We've already wrapped up the Drivers' Championship with Lewis Hamilton winning and the Constructors' Championship with Mercedes once again winning the Team Championship. So we're going to discuss the second to last race of the season in Brazil, and I'm going to give you some news that's happened in this last week or so, and my predictions, which are normally wrong, but my predictions on who's going to be on pole position and who's going to win the race come Sunday. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, the Brazilian Grand Prix in Sao Paulo, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. Hopefully I got that right. It's a long name for a track, but hopefully I've got it right in the pronunciation. First Grand Prix held in 1973, 71 laps of the circuit come Sunday, and the lap record is by Valtteri Bottas of last season with a 1 minute 10.540. So that's going to be interesting. They're probably going to break it come this weekend, but that's an interesting stat. The first 3 Brazilian Grand Prix were won by a Brazilian driver, Emerson Fittipaldi in 1973 and 1974, and Carlos Pache, who the circuit is named after, in 1975. And I know we always talk about the Brazilian Grand Prix being a great track, but we've also got to talk about how many fantastic Brazilian drivers have been around over the years in Formula 1. You know, Ayrton Senna, Nelson Piquet, Emerson Fittipaldi, Carlos Pache, Felipe Massa, Rubens Barrichello. I mean, the list goes on and on. We've had some fantastic Brazilian drivers over the years, and this is such an amazing circuit. And I think it's great that it's one of the last ones of the season as well. I mean, I think it would be better if it was the last race, because it would be even more of an atmosphere, even more of a feel about it. But you know, of course, we have the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as the last one of the year. But I think to have it at the very end is good. You know, I enjoy having the Brazilian Grand Prix, you know, at the end. You know, it's normally a sad time when the season's over as a fan of the sport, so to have a great race like this at the end, I suppose, is something to look forward to. But yeah, that's the stats of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Really looking forward to the weekend. I'm just going to go through some news that's happened in this last week or so. So the biggest news of the week is that Alex Albon will partner Max Verstappen for next year's season, for the 2020 season. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody saw this coming. I mean, since he took over from Pierre Gasly from the summer break into the Belgian Grand Prix, he has been, pretty good, really. I mean, obviously he's not got podiums or anything like that, but Pierre Gasly really struggled at the start of the season, and I think if you compare both of them, Alex Albon, has been the better driver. I think his highest finish was 4th in the Japanese Grand Prix, and yeah, I think 7 races he's done so far, so 4th is not bad for how many races he's been in that car. And it's quite, I expect it's quite difficult from going from a Toro Rosso, having a short period in the summer to get your seat ready and everything ready in the Red Bull car, and then to go in and start racing in that seat. So I think Alex Albon's done a fantastic job. He's matched Max Verstappen. I think in Japan he wasn't far off in qualifying compared to him, so it will be interesting to have him have a full winter break, and see what he's like come the start of next year. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think he's impressed me since he got in that seat in the summer, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he'll do against his full-time partner of Max Verstappen next year. This obviously means, it was also announced at the same time, that Daniel Kvyat and Pierre Gasly will be in Toro Rosso for next year as well. Now, we knew Daniel Kvyat wasn't moving, he was staying. He wasn't going to be going up to Red Bull, so it was a chance he would be staying at Toro Rosso. He is doing that, and of course with Alex Albon going to Red Bull and staying at Red Bull, Gasly will be put into the Toro Rosso team full-time for next season. And I think that's fair. Pierre Gasly, like I said, felt a bit sorry for him. He really struggled at the start, but then he just couldn't get his confidence back up. So come the summer, it was sort of a slam dunk for Red Bull to try something else and try something different. And I think it's worked more in Alex Albon's favour than it did in Pierre Gasly's. So I think it'll be good for him, less pressure at Toro Rosso, try and get his confidence back, get some more points on the board for next season. Their first full season together next year with Kvyat and Gasly, and like I said, I don't think they've done too bad. France Toss said it's a young and experienced duo, and yeah, for sure, that's the case. They've had many races now, both drivers, so they have the experience, and obviously Gasly is still young. Kvyat's only like 26, 27, so he's still got a long time left in him, hopefully in the sport as well. So yeah, that's Red Bull and Toro Rosso's seats wrapped up. The only thing now is that there's only one seat left, and that is George Russell's partner at Williams. So if Nico Hülkenberg is going to get a seat next year, it will have to be at Williams. Now, there's obviously been talk that he might go to DTM or do other sports, obviously more other motor racing sports. But yeah, I would love to still see him in F1 next year. The only thing is, if Williams can prove to Hülkenberg that they have made big improvements for next year's car, I think that would be the only reason if Nico Hülkenberg was to stay in F1. He could do wonders in DTM next season, and then somebody from F1 might say, oh, we'll bring you back. Like, I suppose, like Esteban Ocon, he's been away from a year, but people still haven't forgot about him and brought him back for the 2020 season. So who knows? But yeah, it will be a shame if Nico Hülkenberg doesn't get a seat next year. But the Williams seat is the only one left not to be taken, so it will be interesting to see what happens there. Some other news going into this weekend. Toto Wolff will miss the Brazilian Grand Prix. His first race he's not going to be attending since 2013. Now obviously with Lewis Hamilton wrapping up the drivers and Mercedes wrapping up the constructors, he said that he's got other topics in Europe that he needs to focus on. Obviously the job's basically been done. There's only 2 races left now, and everything that they needed to do has been achieved. So I suppose he might as well, if there's more important things to do, he can leave it to, I think James Allison's taking it over for being the head of the race weekend this week in Brazil. He might do it at Abu Dhabi, although Toto might come for the last race of the season, who knows. But yeah, focusing on other topics in Europe, so he won't be travelling and he won't be there at Brazil right now. But yeah, like I said, with both championships already wrapped up, is there any point for him to be there? So yeah, that's other bit of news. Toto Wolff will not be at the Brazilian Grand Prix this season. There's also new engine penalties for Charles Leclerc. Now, like I always say, there's always problems at Ferrari, and before they've even started the weekend at Brazil, Charles Leclerc's already got a penalty. Now, this is because he had an oil leak in FP3 in Austin in the US, which means they had to swap to an older power unit. And yeah, I don't think it was going to make it for 2 more races, so they've had to decide to put a new power unit in. Now it means he will at least get a 10-place grid penalty. It could be even more if they need to change a bit more or need to do other things to the car. So yeah, he's at least got a 10-place grid penalty, which is not great. Obviously you can make it up in Brazil, it's fast, there's a lot of overtaking places to make up. But it's not great, is it, for one Ferrari already to be starting down the back. So it'll be interesting for Charles Leclerc. I've got a few more news bits here as well. Lewis Hamilton talking about new contract discussions, and they're coming into place hopefully soon. Bottas is talking about plans for next season to try and beat Lewis Hamilton. And he's also bored of comparisons with Nico Rosberg. I mean, why people are making them? Okay, Rosberg's been the only driver to challenge Hamilton in this Mercedes era, but Rosberg isn't around anymore. Well, he is, but he just decides to do YouTube stuff like this instead of actually racing wheel to wheel. But hey, so Bottas is bored of them comparisons, and I would be as well. Vettel wants to finish P3 in the driver standings, and he doesn't really bothered about beating Leclerc. He just wants to be P3 in the driver standings. And Lewis Hamilton also said thank you for a congratulatory text from Fernando Alonso after winning the World Championship last time out. He got a nice message from his rival teammate, ex-teammate, who they had some real wheel-to-wheel races and bitter rivalry at the beginning when they were at McLaren. Yeah, he had a nice text message from Fernando Alonso, so that must be nice for that. So he's obviously said thank you to Fernando Alonso for that. So that's all the news going into the race weekend. I'm now going to give you my predictions. Now, like I normally say, they're not always right. Well, I don't think any of them have been right so far, but I'm just going to give you them, and we'll see what happens when we review the Brazilian Grand Prix, and if I've actually got any right this time. So pole position and the race is actually going to be the same driver. Now I'm hedging my bets. to one driver this weekend, and that is Max Verstappen. I think this is probably Red Bull's last chance for a win in the 2019 season. I don't really see him being close in Abu Dhabi. I think this is going to be their best time and their last time to win this week and this season. And yeah, I think Max Verstappen has been brilliant over the last few years at Brazil. He obviously had that issue with Esteban Ocon last year when they collided, when Ocon was trying to unlap himself, and obviously they had that feud after the race. And he's been great in the wet weather conditions at Brazil as well. So I think he's got so much experience and he loves the track. So I could easily see Red Bull winning this weekend and getting pole position as well. So that's my prediction. Please let me know what you think yours is going to be. But for me, pole position and the race win will be Max Verstappen. So that is a quick video for the preview of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Let me know what you think, who's going to win, who's going to be on pole position, what are your thoughts, do you enjoy the Brazilian Grand Prix, do you think it should be the last race of the season, and yeah, let me know. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and I will see you for a review of the Brazilian Grand Prix next week. So take care, thank you.